If you're a bass player who's focused on scales but doesn't seem to be getting anywhere that you want to be, if you're not unlocking chords in the way that you want to with just scales, then this lesson is for you. This lesson is also for you if you're just getting into improvisation and you're starting to work on chord tones and arpeggios and you're looking for a better way of understanding how to go about doing that. Today I'm going to teach you 3 ways to break down the dominant 7th chord, 3 ways using arpeggios that you may not have thought about before. But you may be asking yourself, why should I listen to this guy? Well, my name is Lauren Cohn. I'm a professional bassist in New York City and a bass coach. I've played tons and tons of gigs with some of the biggest names in jazz especially, and I've helped hundreds of bass players to unlock their musicianship and cut through the clutter using simple materials. The dominant 7th chord is the most important chord that we have in American music, really, because this is the essence of the blues, it's the essence of funk, it's the essence of any of the music of the Americas or Black American music that you might be playing. So first, let's just review the chord tones of a regular C7, C dominant 7th chord. C dominant 7th, you can see what I'm playing here on the piano. We're going to have C, E, G, and B flat. Okay, on the bass, that's C, E, G, B flat, 1, 3, 5, 7. Our flat 7 or our minor 7. In this case, we have an E diminished triad over C, right? E, G, B flat, that's an E diminished triad over C. I also like to think about this as numerator and a denominator. Okay, so E diminished arpeggio is going to be our numerator. That's on top of our denominator, our bass note, which is C. This is really, really helpful to start to take these chords apart for the purposes of soloing, fills, even more expansive grooves. Okay, so that's just our C dominant 7th arpeggio. Now let's add to that. Let's add an extension onto that. Let's add the 9th onto that. So then we're going to have a C9 chord. And in this case, we're adding D. The 9th is the same as the 2nd, just adding 7 notes to it. Chord tones, I'm going to have C, E, G, B flat, and D. Okay? If I just take this note, E, this note here, our 3rd, and I raise that up an octave, all right, now I have G minor 6 arpeggio over C. All right, I have G, B flat, D, and E. That's a G minor 6 arpeggio. Same thing as E half diminished. But I like to think about it from G because as you're going to see, the rest of the chord types, the rest of the way we're going to unlock the next chord types is all going to come from the same target note, come from G also. Okay, so C9, we're thinking about G minor 6th as our numerator and C as our denominator, as our bass note. And on top of that, to get the C9 sound, I'm playing a G minor 6th arpeggio. And I can play that through all these inversions. Okay, that's C9. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to talk about a C sus chord. Okay, if we have a C sus chord, the notes are going to be C, F, G, B flat, D. Okay, C9 sus in this case. All right, or guitarists will sometimes refer to this as C11 because we are adding that F. If I just played it in root position, I'd have this. Okay, and you can probably see where I'm going with this now when we see it on the piano. When we have this sound, and you can still play the 3rd on this. I could still play C, E, G, B flat, D. Okay, still, and then F if I wanted to, right? I could still play the 3rd on this too, right? But you can look on the piano, right? What do I have here? I have my root, C, and on top of that, I have G, B flat, D, and F. I have a G minor 7th arpeggio. Okay, again, target note is G, okay? And now instead of playing a minor 6th arpeggio, we're playing a minor 7th arpeggio. G, B flat, D, F, okay? This is a beautiful, beautiful sound. We hear this in a lot of jazz tunes. Herbie Hancock's Maiden Voyage is pretty much all these sus chords. We hear it in a lot of funk and R&B sort of tunes, a lot of songs from the 70s. Just a beautiful, beautiful sound. And when you hear this or see this on a chord chart, right, if you see C sus or C9 sus like this, you can just be thinking G minor 9 over C, right? Beautiful sound. Sorry, or G minor 7th over C. Okay. Beautiful sound. So the next thing we're going to talk about is if I have a G9 chord with a sharp 11, okay? A G9 chord with a sharp, C9 chord with a sharp 11. Okay, now we start getting into some color, all right? This is sort of the first simple alteration that we would put on a dominant 7th chord. I have my root, just look at the piano voice in here, my root, my 3rd, my 7th, my 9th, and now my sharp 11. Okay. Now, if I added my 5th in there, you can already see where I'm going with this, right? You can see that I've got my numerator, right? My little idea block of notes on top of my bass note, on top of C. Okay, and I have G, B flat, D, F sharp. Same target note that we've used in the last 2 iterations, right? G, B, target note being G, G, B flat, D, F sharp, okay? So just to review, for C9, we had G minor 6th over C, G, B flat, D, E over C, okay? And then for C sus, what guitar players would call C11, we had G, B flat, D, and F over C, okay? And then now when we play C9 with a sharp 11, we have G, B flat, D, F sharp over C, okay? And that arpeggio, G, B flat, D, and F sharp, is what we call a minor major 7th arpeggio because they have a minor triad with a major 7th. So I'm playing a G minor major 7th arpeggio, okay, over C. So in all of these iterations, same target note, the 5th, in this case, thinking from C dominant 7th, the target note is the 5th, which is G, and then our different tonalities, whether it's G minor 6, G minor 7th, now G minor major 7th, okay? And then there's one more I'm going to show you. Let's say we wanted to add the full kit and caboodle onto this sound in terms of extensions. Okay, we've talked about, we've added the 9th, we've added the sharp 11th. Well, there's one more, and that's the 13th. In this case, the 13th of C7 is going to be A. So we're going to take the entire structure that we just played, all right, and we're going to add an A onto it. Okay, beautiful sound, a lot of color. This is like the first sound that I ever heard that was like the jazz chord. You know, heard it in maybe a Steely Dan tunes and things like that, right? C13 with a sharp 11th is what we would call this. And again, you can see what I'm doing here, right? I'm playing more notes here. I'm playing 5 notes, but now I'm playing G, B flat, D, F sharp, and A over C. And that chord from G is our target note, and then our tonality, B flat, D, F sharp, A, that arpeggio is a G minor major 9th. I know this seems like a lot of information, right? But it's just about getting the formula. So in this case, again, we've kept that same target note G, and we're just adding on to what we just did. When we just had C sharp 11, C9 with the sharp 11, we played G minor major, just a straight G minor major 7, G, B flat, D, F sharp, right? Over C. Now we're keeping that same structure and just adding on to that. G, B flat, D, F sharp, A, okay, over C. And that gives us these groupings of this first batch of dominant seventh chords. The next batch would be all of the different alterations that we could have with our tensions, meaning adding our flat nines, sharp fives, things like that. But this first batch of notes, this first batch of color that we can add to a C dominant seventh chord, we can do it all from one target note in essentially one tonality, because everything I showed you was some form of G minor, right, over our root of C. So that's sort of a lightning round lesson of how to unlock these sounds. I know there's a lot of information there. If you do want to study more information like this and dig deeper into this, you can book a call with me to learn more about my Bass Improv Mastery program. The link is in the description box below. Let me know what you guys think about this approach in the comments. Do you find this useful? Is this something that has helped you to understand these sometimes confusing and maybe elusive sort of sounds that we want to be able to get to when we're improvising, when we're soloing, when we're playing fills, even when we're grooving? We want to have this full palette of sound at our disposal. And as you can see, everything I'm doing here is coming from the piano. If you want to learn more about why I think it's so important that we do everything from the piano, click here.